Chapter 9. The National Debt. When you're content to be simply yourself and don't compare or compete, everyone will respect you. Lao Tzu. While I was attending to my many commitments, life continued on Earth for Komotin. I wanted to check on him, so I decided to show up at his class. It was early in the morning as Komotin was getting ready to begin a new day in school at the University of Miami. He was heading to a lecture of economics at one of the large classrooms at the school. It was titled Economics 1, and Denise Richards was the professor. Komotin quickly entered and made himself comfortable in a seat near the front. As soon as Denise arrived, she introduced herself to the students. As she began her dissertation, Komotin listened intently and was prepared to take notes of everything that was being said. Denise told the class that the lesson for the day would be dedicated to the subject of the national debt in the United States. The topic was going to examine the national debt that the American government was accumulating year after year, and that gradually was reaching very alarming proportions. Komotin remembered one of the conversations he had with me in the past, when we discussed those disproportionate numbers. At that time they seemed far-fetched, but now, according to the professor, little by little, those numbers were becoming a reality. Denise began by emphasizing that the national debt that the American government had just reached in May of 2006 was $8.2 trillion. The Congress of the United States was preparing to authorize the government to increase the debt to $9 trillion. Komotin opened his eyes wide with an astonished expression. $9 trillion? He thought. Just at that precise moment, I took the opportunity to stand next to him. Komotin was not surprised when he saw me there because he'd gotten used to my appearing anywhere, at any time. "I did not think you would have time to come to class with me, Dr. Komotin," Komotin said. "I want to help you understand your lesson. I want to give you some numbers and some data which will show you how disastrous the situation has become concerning the development of our country, and which ultimately will end up affecting the development of the entire world," I explained. "I am listening," Komotin replied. "Just as your professor said, very soon the amount of the official national debt will be $9 trillion. Shortly after that, the same debt will reach the ill-fated amount of $9.11 trillion. The repetition of these numbers will become a new threat, which will confirm the importance of understanding all these numbers. When that number is reached, the economy will begin a gradual, yet very important, backward movement. And in 2 more years, we will reach the $11 trillion plateau. Do you understand the magnitude of those numbers, Komotin?" I questioned. "I think I understand them, Doctor, but I'm sure that you are here to help me understand them better," Komotin answered. "I cannot help but be amused. You are right, Komotin. That is why I'm here. I will give you an example that will clarify things for you. $1 million in bills of $1,000 represents approximately a size of 4.5 inches. I signaled with my thumb and index finger the approximate size representative of 4.5 inches. As you can see, a mere 4.5 inches are capable of containing 1,000 bills of $1,000. Additionally, I may add that these 4.5 inches are approximately 11 centimeters. I continued. "I have no trouble understanding until right now. I follow what you're saying," Komotin confirmed. What would you think would be the size of $1 trillion in bills of $1,000? I asked. Well, I imagine that one would have to multiply those 4.5 inches by some other numbers, Comoton responded. Why other numbers? I asked. Well, what I would do is to convert the inches into feet and then into miles. Then I would try to understand how many millions of dollars there are in $1 trillion. And from there, I would continue until I would reach the final number. Comoton calculated. Very well, Comoton, I responded. Let's begin there. Okay, 1 foot is 12 inches. Let's determine how many feet are in a mile, and from there we can continue, Comoton reasoned. 1 mile has a total of 5,280 feet. If we have all those numbers, then we can go on with the following equation. 4.5 inches times 1 foot times 1 mile equals 6. 4.5 times 1 times 1 times 10 equals 70. 12 inches times 5,280 feet. 1. $1 million in $1,000 bills is equal to 4.5 inches. 2. 1 trillion would be equivalent to 70 miles of bills in $1,000, set one after another, I continued. Is that true? Comoton asked. Yes, Comoton. Numbers can fool us. Imagine the reality and the magnitude which the national debt problem represents in the end. It is nothing more than debt for all of us. $1 trillion is equivalent to 70 miles. The $9 trillion of national debt are the equivalent of 630 uninterrupted miles of $1,000 bills. Do you have any idea of the vicious size of that debt? Summarizing this, each person residing in the United States would have to assume a proportion of the $9 trillion of outstanding debt, which, divided by approximately 300 million people living in the United States, would give us the following equation. $9 trillion equals $30,000 per person times 300 million citizens. That is to say, $9 trillion divided by 300 million citizens living in the United States would give us the equivalent of $30,000 of debt, which each resident of the United States must assume because of the debt that our government accumulated. If we were to multiply that amount of $30,000 by approximately 75 million families that are living in the United States, using an average of 4 people per family, we would have 30,000 times 4 equals $120,000 of family debt accumulated because of the mismanagement of the government of the United States, I alleged. These numbers are shocking, Doctor, Comoton noted, ghastly. That's our reality, Comoton. As a country, we live by borrowing money from other countries in the world. As of today, we need more than approximately $1.5 billion daily to finance our deficits. And to cover those deficits, the government has to finance through debt and more debt. Now listen carefully, Comoton, because your professor will be the one to finish your lesson, I proclaimed. Denise continued with her lecture. Those $9 trillion of debt must be financed and paid. If we assume a medium of payments of interest to around 5% annually, the government would have to pay the creditors around $450 to $500 billion each year. If the American government has an annual budget of approximately $2.8 trillion, very soon 20% of that budget will have to be utilized to pay all the national debt. This situation will eventually lead us not only to lose our leadership worldwide, but it will mortgage our economic future as well as that of our children. The professor concluded, You have a great deal to think about until our next class. At that time I will answer any questions you may have. The lecture spawned a great deal of conversation among the students. Suddenly I had a flash to the future, and I saw that on September 27, 2007, the United States Congress raised the debt ceiling to nearly $10 trillion. The numbers were getting real close, and a few months later, what was defined as the Great Recession was about to come. I then traveled into the future and could see that in 2018, the U.S. Congress increased the debt ceiling further to $20 trillion. I immediately thought about Denise's explanation. $1 trillion equals 70 miles of $1,000 set one after another. Then $20 trillion will be 70 times 20, or 1,400 miles of $1,000 bills. It's practically the distance from New York to Dallas, covered by $1,000 bills. Unbelievable. I watched as Comoton started to talk intently to someone, and I decided it was time for me to leave the lecture hall and return to other pressing matters in the afterlife.